This is the Samsung T5 USB 3 Portable SSD. The particular one I went for was the 500GB model, and after giving it some heavy usage, it's restored my faith in external hard drives. It's amazingly fast and definitely more than suitable as a boot drive. Put simply, it is definitely faster than an internal Platter hard drive. And in a few moments we're going to see if this is faster than this MacBook Air's stock internal M2 SSD drive. Please remember to support my channel by liking this video, subscribing to my channel, and once you've seen the ridiculous speeds you can achieve with the Samsung T5 Portable SSD, you can check out the latest price via the link in the video description. We're also going to look at the read and write speeds when directly connected to an Android phone. One of the cool features is that you can hook it up to an Android and copy all of your pictures and videos to it as a backup, or if you use your Android device as your main camera, transferring large videos to a computer via Wi-Fi is extremely slow and it eats up your battery. Because the Samsung T5 is so fast, you can quickly transfer a ton of videos to it in a short space of time. Not to mention it's so fast, you can even edit video footage directly from it while booted into Mac OS X on a different partition on the same drive. So, I've partitioned my Samsung T5 into 3 partitions. The first is a 200GB partition for Mac OS X, which means I can carry around an entire operating system dedicated to my Logic Pro X and Final Cut Pro X work. Sometimes I want to be sat at my desk in front of a full-size iMac, and sometimes I'd rather be laying on my bed with a MacBook Air. Before I had my Samsung T5, I'd use splashtop remote desktop streaming, but the lag was quite annoying. The sound quality wasn't to my standard, especially for Logic work, and sometimes the mouse position isn't as accurate as being natively booted up on the client device. With my Samsung T5, I can literally carry around my entire workflow to and from each of my Apple computers, since Mac OS X will boot up on any of those machines without reinstallation of the operating system. The next partition is a 200GB exFAT partition, which I may use to install Windows, but for now at least it's a common compatible large partition. Most smart TVs will also be able to read and write to it. The remaining 100GB is formatted as FAT. In addition to the expected USB 3 to USB-C cable, the box came with this USB-C to USB-C cable, and you can connect the Samsung T5 to Android devices which use the new USB-C charging port, such as the Samsung Galaxy S9 as well as the Note 8 and above. Since USB-C is being rolled out now as the main connector on pretty much everything, I was quite happy to invest in the T5. It's going to be my main go-to portable drive for almost all use cases now. So I've added this FAT partition just in case Android has difficulty reading the exFAT partition. It will almost certainly be unable to read nor write to the Apple boot partition. Okay, first things first, let me show you how fast I can boot into Mac OS X with my Samsung T5. This video will be edited before uploading, but during moments where I'm testing speeds, I will not be editing any of that footage, so loading and transfer speeds you see are in real time and remain unedited. For this video, I'm mostly going to be using an Apple product, such as the MacBook Air you see here. But I just want to clarify that the Samsung T5 works wonderfully with Windows computers as well. It even works with Apple computers that are booted into Windows via Boot Camp, and works just as fast with Windows computers as you'll see it working here today. As long as that computer has USB 3 or USB 3.1, it'll work just fine. So as you can see, we didn't have to wait very long for the computer to boot into Mac OS X. Let's go straight into BlackMagic and compare drive speeds. BlackMagic writes a set amount of data to the selected drive, and then reads that data whilst measuring the speed of the writing data and the reading data. Since these are the two main ways to measure the performance of a drive, this gives us a good indicator of just how well Samsung have done with the T5 Portable SSD. First, let's do a speed test on the internal M2 stock hard drive that came built into my MacBook Air. We can expect some pretty high numbers here since we're currently booted into Mac OS X via my Samsung T5, meaning that the internal hard drive is completely idle, so its resources will be dedicated purely to the speed testing. We'll begin the test, and we'll let it do a few tests in a row until we can see that the speeds are settling down to roughly the same numbers each time. The results will vary by a few megabytes per second with each test, but the performance between each of the drives will still be very clear. Okay, so as expected, the read speeds are significantly faster than the write speeds on this internal M2 stock hard drive, since with most storage devices it's a lot harder for the device to write data than it is to simply read the existing data out of the drive. Okay, before we test the Samsung T5 for comparison, let's test a USB 3 flash drive. I bought this off the shelf at a reputable retail store in the UK, and it was advertised as being fast and boasted its USB 3 connection. As we can see, the results are much lower, because firstly it's considered an external drive, so we can't expect speeds to be anywhere near that of an internal drive which benefits from its direct connection to the motherboard. USB 3 is extremely fast, but this little drive fails because the chip inside which stores the data isn't very fast at all. USB 3 is just the carrier for the data as it moves between the computer and the chip inside the flash drive. The bottleneck in the speed here is not USB 3, it's the data storage chip inside the flash drive. And this explains why not all USB 3 storage devices are the same. In fact, this is precisely where the Samsung T5 begins to shine. Even though the Samsung T5 uses the same USB 3 as this little flash drive, the storage chips inside the T5 is extremely fast and reliable. Next, just for gigs and shittles, let's test a Platter SATA hard drive, also connected via USB 3, to see how it compares. The bottleneck here is the fact that the hard drive has to physically move its parts to read and write data to the platters. SSD devices have no moving parts. Imagine a large warehouse filled with filing cabinets, rows and rows of thousands of filing cabinets, and only one person to run around pulling files in and out of each of the cabinets. Consider that one video of, say, 10 minutes long has each of its individual parts spread across this warehouse in different filing cabinets. Well, that would be like a Platter hard drive with moving parts. The SSD drives have no moving parts at all, so falling back to the filing cabinet warehouse analogy, it would be like having that one person being able to instantly transport to the filing cabinet that they need to be at. The result being that the data is read much quicker without the travelling time of that person moving from each of the cabinets to the others. So now let's see how my Samsung T5 performs when compared to its contenders. Look at that. For an external drive to be able to compete with an internal M2 drive on at least its writing speeds is ridiculously incredible, and that's why we're able to boot up using the Samsung T5 without any uncomfortable lag or speed loss usually associated when booting from an external hard drive. Okay, so the next test is to see how well it works with transferring files from my Samsung Galaxy Note 8 via a direct connection with its included cable. I'm going to use a free app called ES File Explorer. If you've not heard of it, it's pretty much the standard go-to app for managing files on an Android device. It even allows you to easily connect to SMB or Samba shares on the same Wi-Fi network. But for now, I'm going to use it to find a large file on my phone and transfer it to my Samsung T5 Portable SSD. And then we can look at the speeds of the transfer, since ES File Explorer shows us the speed of the transfer as it's happening. We're going to do two tests. The first will be to copy a large file from the SD card in the Note 8 to the T5, and then from the Note 8's internal memory to the T5. By the way, there's a link in the video description for the memory card I'm using in my Note 8. Okay, let's open ES File Explorer. Here we see two large icons at the top representing the phone's internal storage and the SD card. Now we're going to connect the Samsung T5 portable SSD via the included USB-C to USB-C cable. Now don't forget, I've already partitioned this drive to appear as 3 separate drives, and I'm expecting the Apple partition to be completely unreadable, since Apple use a proprietary format for their drives to be bootable. Here we can see new icons. By the way, I'm using a Bluetooth mouse here, just so you can see what I'm pointing at a little easier where I'm clicking and tapping. I need to find a file on my SD card, which is large enough to be a good test for the file transfer speeds. Okay, this looks good. Let's see how big the file is. That's good. Let's also check that my phone is in performance mode to ensure that power saving settings aren't inhibiting the transfer speeds. Now let's tell the device to copy it to one of the 2 recognized partitions on my Samsung T5. That's a pretty good speed for a mobile device. I know when I've done the same thing via Wi-Fi, this speed indicator is usually 3 to 4 megabytes. I usually just leave my phone plugged in and walk away from it to complete Wi-Fi transfers to my network attached storage, or my NAS. 3 to 4 megabytes being roughly the expected speeds for a Wi-Fi connection. But as you can see here, when I'm using a Samsung T5, it's going to be a lot quicker to transfer my videos to it, and then from the T5 to my computer. Okay, the next test is to copy a file from the phone's internal storage to my Samsung T5. Let's find a suitable file and check its size. Okay, let's try this. Wow, that is pretty fast. The numbers here speak for themselves. I really feel like I've had a bargain with the Samsung T5. Look, I can even plug it into my Sony TV and it just works. And look here, I can plug it back into my MacBook Air and edit the video just like the file was on an internal storage drive. I can continue to edit this video and completely forget that I'm booted up via an external hard drive. So to wrap this up, I'm extremely impressed with the Samsung T5. There really isn't anything else like it on the market. Samsung have proven to be the market leaders when it comes to storage, as well as many other areas. So when I choose to buy my T5, I was certain that I wasn't going to be regretting my purchase. It's a winner for me, and I highly recommend it to anyone who needs extreme speeds or a fast portable capable SSD drive. It's lightweight, it's strong with its metal case, and that comes in a few different colours. They're so small that you could own several of them and stick a label on each of it for what it's for. Like, one could say FCPX workflow, Logic workflow, Unity 3D, Windows 10 bootcamp, game development drive. There's so much that could be done with it. Well, that wraps up my little review. I hope you found it useful. I should also say Samsung haven't endorsed this video. I haven't asked them, and they didn't send it to me for free. I bought this of my own accord after reading the specs, and I wanted to see if it was all true. It turns out these numbers are 4 times faster than I expected it to be. The links in the video description are Amazon associate links, which means that if you visit Amazon to check the latest prices via my links, I'll have a small fee as a reward for making this video if you go ahead and purchase. And it also doesn't cost you any more to use the links, it's the same price across Amazon. If you got this far to the end of the video, please remember to click like, subscribe to my videos, and if you click the bell next to the button, you'll get a notification when I upload my next video. Thanks for watching, until next time, see ya.